fish farming to serve fish at the restaurant. Now they haven't perfected it, they said. What they've got is the fish tanks and then a planting bed on top. And they cycle the water from the fish tank through the planting bed as the filter and the fertilizing process, and then it comes back down. I mean, can you imagine? But what they see is that commitment is a commitment to sustainability, and a commitment to making the earth better, and a commitment to good food. And I will tell you, it's some of the best food that I've had the whole time on the trip. So what has made a difference there is that they advertise that integrated approach of what's important. And people come, pay a little bit more, but it's because you can support the workers, the process, the earth in pulling it together. See how that works? Now, in Asheville, North Carolina, now you have to know, how many of you have been to Asheville? A bunch of people, I'm sure. It was my first trip. Asheville's kind of special. It felt a bit like Berkeley, California, you know, or maybe Tacoma Park in the area. But they have created a program where they have 400 small businesses certified as paying living wages. It's pretty impressive. They couldn't get their city council or their state to engage in increasing the minimum wage. So what they did was they said, well, we can get businesses to do it because it'll be better for our town, for our city. It's those kinds of programs that can begin to move us forward. And we're going to hear about a fabulous health service program, which is providing health services in places where it's just impossible for so many. So there's a lot of innovation going on, but here's the thing. It's we the people who are trying to form this more perfect union, and it's really challenging. So what we have seen on the bus over and over is that people are depressed by all the negative ads. People are depressed by big money. People feel pushed out. In Colorado Springs, I met a young man, probably late 20s, early 30s, who said that he was a disabled vet. Clearly from either Afghanistan or Iraq, and I didn't ask which, but he was saying that he wasn't going to vote. He put his body on the line for our nation and he's not going to vote? Why aren't you going to vote? And he told me, folks don't want my vote, my opinion involved in this process. No one's interested in my experience. Oh my glory. So I said to him, well, I'm interested. And he told me a little bit about it, but he feels so alienated from the broader community. That won't be sufficient to keep our nation moving together. So what we have to do, where it goes for us, is then to say, all right, those of us that are awake, those of us that care, those of us that are concerned about the next generation and what's happening, then we the people have got to get engaged one-on-one. Too often, we just talk to people who think similarly. You ever find that out?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. That's why we're here. All right. And somebody did say to me earlier, they said, well, you're going to be preaching to the choir. And fabulous. Choir practice is required. So this is a great point. But this is not sufficient. What we have got to do is come to those places where we can talk, not with the extremes. Sometimes we think, okay, I've been on Bill O'Reilly and, you know, oh yes, we ought to change Bill O'Reilly. Oh, that's not going to happen. He's making way too much money and getting too much affirmation for being the nutty person he is. So, he is a creature of God, heir of heaven, not a mistake. But what we need to do is talk to those folks that I call the muddled middle. The folks that are feeling pushed down. The folks you sit next to, most any place. The folks you stand next to in the grocery store. The folks that we meet on the street. The folks you meet door knocking or phone calling. The folks you know who are depressed. Because Pope Francis says we have not a moment to waste. Our earth is not doing so well. Our people are not doing so well. Our nation is not doing so well. And we've got a lot of work to do. So what do? What I've discovered is that hope is a communal virtue. Hope, you can only generate hope together. Have you ever noticed that? You cannot go off by yourself. I mean, if I'm feeling down at work, I can't go, all right, going home, need a little quiet time to generate some hope. It doesn't work. Hope is all about the weaving of us together. The guy in Colorado Springs, ironically, while he was depressed, he gave me hope because we engaged in a conversation. And I know another story. The folks at the Business Roundtable give me hope because I see how they care and how they are different, but how they care about our nation. The mom whose son died because he didn't have health care challenges me to engage even more to create Medicaid expansion. And let me tell you one more story that relates to Medicaid. Some of you know that I've talked about Margaret, who died in 2012 before the Affordable Care Act was implemented. Let's see if I can find her picture really fast. Oh, I can't. Sometimes you can't. It just gets lost in here. I carry all these people in my Bible. That's the challenge. But anyway, so Margaret died because she lost her job in the recession. And when she lost her job, she lost her health care. And when she lost her health care, she no longer got screening for colon cancer, even though she had a family propensity to colon cancer. She ended up dying of colon cancer. And Jeannie, her sister, and her sister's partner, Lynn, brought me Margaret's picture in Cincinnati at one of our first bus things. And I've carried her picture ever since. Well, I got to see Jeannie and Lynn about a year ago, and they told me that my speaking about Margaret helped heal their family. Margaret's story fuels my commitment, and I feel nourished by her. My speaking about Margaret helped the family to feel less guilty that they hadn't been able to help her, that they hadn't known how sick she was, that they hadn't been there for her. And apparently the guilt had torn them apart. So see how that nourishment of me by Margaret's story and then my acting nourishes them, and that generates a community of hope and inclusion. And then we were in Lexington, Kentucky on this bus trip, and this woman comes up to me. I'm getting ready to talk to this rally, and we had Allison Lundergan Grimes with us, and we had all this great stuff going on, and this woman comes up, taps me on the arm, and she says, I'm one of Margaret's other sisters. I just want you to know how thankful we are for what you have done for our family. Whoa. I hadn't done anything for their family. But by acting with the care and the concern of Margaret, that was healing for them. So I had to go chase her because she just walked off. So I had to chase her, give her a hug, and we both cried, and it was great. But the thing is, you never know what the consequences of what we're doing is. We just do our part. And if we do our part, then isn't that being our part in the body of God? In our Christian tradition, Paul says we are one body. And some are hands, and some are feet, and some are, ears and noses. I've sort of decided, I think maybe, I'm stomach acid in the body. It's really important. It helps metabolize food. You don't have energy without it. Could be annoying in large quantities.